So we'll start with offering prayers, and then we'll continue our discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nandagopakumaraya govindaya namo namah. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyadi Paschatadesha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Sri Gaura Bhaktarinda. Together, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for our weekly discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I can continue in English, right?
Yeah, you can continue in English, Prabhu.
Okay. Everyone understands English.
Yes.
Okay. So we are discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. We have discussed first 3 chapters of first canto, where this sets the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam, where all the sages have assembled in Naimisharanya, and they have kept Suta Goswami as the speaker, and Shaunaka Rishi is asked several questions, different questions, and Suta Goswami has answered them in the next 2 chapters that we have discussed. So we'll continue after hearing that, like the whole summary of the philosophical summary of Bhagavatam is given in the 2nd and 3rd chapters, where it is revealed that the process of bhakti is the highest welfare for everyone, and also one should worship the Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna and his incarnations. So that is established here. So now, after hearing, and also they have heard that after Krishna has left this world, Srimad Bhagavatam, the book incarnation of Krishna, has come to direct the world. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the incarnation of the Lord, which guides the world after the departure of the Lord. So with the dharma and jnana, which supports. So now, after hearing the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sruta Goswami, from Sruta Goswami, Saunakadi Rishis, they ask about that particular literature. So that is the introduction to this 4th chapter. So we'll continue that the next section, where the next 3 chapters discusses the conversation between Srila Vyasadeva and Narada Muni, so which we will try to cover.
Sure.
So Shaunakadi Rishis, they were very much satisfied with the answers, and they glorify the Suta Goswami. Initially, the author glorifies even Shaunaka Rishi, Shaunakadi Rishi is mentioned as he is the Kulavriddha, he is the senior in that assembly, and he is also very learned person, and he is also he is very learned and elderly, and he is the leader of all that assembly. So he started inquiring Sutta Goswami. So it is mentioned that when in an assembly, like the person who is asking questions representing the assembly should also be qualified. Like he is also learned and he is elderly. So that person is representing all the other sages, and he is putting forward the questions to Sutta Goswami. And Sutta Goswami, while putting questions, he initially glorifies Sutta Goswami. He's saying that you are very fortunate, and you are very of the speakers. You are the very wonderful who can speak Srimad Bhagavatam, message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is spoken by Shukadeva Goswami. So now, after hearing the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, he puts forward the question that when is this Srimad Bhagavatam compiled, where it is compiled, and why it is compiled, and why that Vyasadeva got this inspiration to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is such a great literature. So because they have heard for the first time that Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, and Sutta Goswami has heard that conversation and he has come. So that Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the incarnation, like this is the guiding light for Kali Yuga. So they are asking from where, why did he compile and when he compiled, and all these questions about Srimad Bhagavatam. And also further he glorifies the Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami is the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, as mentioned previously. He is the son of Srila Vyasadeva. So previously it is mentioned that Shukadeva Goswami was is like a fully absorbed in Brahman. He is like there is one aspect of Bhagavan, like that, as mentioned in second chapter. The Supreme Lord aspect, he has three aspects. One is like Brahman, he is called as Brahman, he is called as Paramatma, and he is called as Bhagavan. So Brahman is like the impersonal rays of the Supreme Lord. It is like Brahma Jyoti. And Paramatma is the one who is sitting in everyone's heart and guiding every living entity. And Bhagavan feature is the one he is having personal features, and he can reciprocate with everyone. So Shukadeva Goswami, initially he was attracted to impersonal feature of the Lord. He is fully into the Brahman feature of the Lord. Means basically he is beyond these three modes, and he is into that impersonal attachment, that impersonal Brahma Jyoti attached. So he is famous for that. But how, like they are putting the questions that he was a great monist who is absorbed in the Supreme Lord, who is absorbed in that Supreme Brahman, and he is, for common people, he is appeared like a madman. So he is like appeared like an ignorant person. So they asked that. Shukadeva Goswami is generally like a sage who is like very much absorbed in his meditation. For common people, he may appear like an ignorant person or a mad person, or he is not a sensible person. It may appear like that. So they asked that when Shukadeva Goswami, when he reached Hastinapur, when he reached that assembly of Parikshit Maharaj, how did citizens recognize Shukadeva Goswami? So, like, because they cannot recognize him properly, so how did they recognize Shukadeva Goswami? That they asked. And also, one more pastime they remember that, as mentioned, that Shukadeva Goswami, while he was going, some apsaras, they were all taking bath and they are naked. But seeing Shukadeva Goswami, they were not worried. But seeing Vyasadeva, they covered themselves. Vyasadeva asked them, what is the reason? They said that your son, he was so purified that he will not make any distinction between male and female. So, but you have to make distinctions because you are a grihastha and you are situated in this situation. So, in that way, Shukadeva Goswami is completely absorbed in transcendence beyond these modes. Such is the glory of Shukadeva Goswami. And so, how he was recognized in Hastinapur when he entered, and also how did that meeting of Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami took place? Please narrate that also. And they glorify the Parikshit Maharaj, who is the hearer of Srimad Bhagavatam. So they know that Parikshit Maharaj is the emperor of that particular point of time. So Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of Arjuna. He is the son of Abhimanyu. So Abhimanyu was died in, as we know, in Mahabharata, and Abhimanyu was and Parikshit Maharaj at that time he was in the womb of Uttara, and he was about to die. That narration will come in the later. But Krishna saved it. Like when Brahmastra was released by Ashwatthama to kill Parikshit Maharaj when he was in the womb of Uttara, there. But Krishna has personally intervened and he saved Parikshit Maharaj. So, and he is later on he became the ruler of the entire world after Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Yudhishthira Maharaj he won the Mahabharata war and he became the entire ruler of the world. So after Yudhishthira Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj became the emperor and he ruled the world. So, they have heard that Parikshit Maharaj has heard this Srimad Bhagavatam and he has left everything, the kingdom and everything, and he has come to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So their questions was generally Sukadeva Goswami himself will not stay for some particular point of time. Like it is mentioned that Sukadeva Goswami stays, if he went to some householder, he stays there as much as time to milk a cow. So that much time he stays and he moves on. But when they heard that the Shukadeva Goswami spoke for 7 days and the Srimad Bhagavatam, so how did that take place? So how Shukadeva Goswami has dedicated that much time. And Parikshit Maharaj is first class devotee of the Lord, and all his glory, he was generally, from his birth onwards, he is fully dedicated to Supreme Lord. His activities are all wonderful. So therefore, please narrate his birth and his activities. So please narrate about Parikshit Maharaj and how he renounced, means because generally we heard that he is an emperor to full this whole planet, and he acquired all these opulences from his in that Pandu dynasty, and he is also ruling very nicely. He is increasing the glory of that Pandu dynasty. So why he gave up everything and he sat on that bank of the Ganges? He sat to like fast until death. Why he sat? And generally we know that he is a very good emperor, and all the smaller kingdoms, they come and they used to bow down to his feet and surrender all their like wealth for his benefit, and he is full of youth and strength. It's not that he became old and at that time he left the kingdom. He is at that time full of youth and strength, and he had kingly opulences which are very difficult to give up. So why he give up everything including his life? And they says that Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye yavuttama shloka parayana jana jivanti natma parashraya mumocha nirvidya kutah kalevaram. Generally, the great people, the people who are dedicated to Supreme Lord, Uttama Shloka Parayana Jana, they live for the auspiciousness of the world, Shivaya Lokasya, for the increasing the auspiciousness of the world, they live, the people who are dedicated to the Supreme Lord. And they don't live for their own self. And they know that their life is meant for others' welfare. So Parikshit Maharaj know that his emperor, his king, and his body is useful for so many people. So how he renounced that? How could he give up his mortal body, which is the shelter for others? So his as a king, he is giving. So in that way, they asked several questions about Parikshit Maharaj, and they glorify that you know very well all these subjects. So please narrate all these questions. So in this way, they asked. So they asked questions about Vyasadeva. Why did he write this Srimad Bhagavatam? That is one question. And another question is about Shukadeva Goswami. Please narrate about Shukadeva Goswami. And another question is about Parikshit Maharaj. Please narrate about the birth of Parikshit Maharaj, his activities, and how he renounced. So these three questions are answered in the rest of Srimad Bhagavatam first canto. So first he answers about Vyasadeva's question, where why Vyasadeva has written this Srimad Bhagavatam, and where did he get his inspiration to write Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is answered in this fourth chapter, fifth chapter, and sixth chapter that we will see now. So Vyasadeva is Vyasadeva, the glories of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva was born to Parashar Muni in the womb of Satyavati. So in the history in Shri Mahabharata, it is mentioned the history that Parashar Muni was a great sage. So through Parashar Muni, and Satyavati is the mother, through them Vyasadeva was born. So we will not go into details how it happened, but we will go through Srimad Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva, as we know, he is also it is mentioned as we have seen in the last chapter, he is basically the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He is the empowered incarnation of the Supreme Lord. He is called as Shaktavesh Avatar. So he is also like one of the Amsha of the Supreme Lord, Kala. So he is in every cycle, in every yoga cycle, there is a personality like Vyasadeva who divides the Vedas for the benefit of the people. So he is the incarnation of the Lord. So he lives near the Saraswati River. One time he was residing in that near the bank of Saraswati River in Badrika Ashram, which is there in Himalayas. That is the place he lives, where Narada and Rishi deities are also there. So he sat there and he saw that in Kali Yuga people are having a lot of difficulties. Like in Kali Yuga, people will face a lot of problems. And he is a foreseer. He could see what is happening in future also. So in Kali Yuga, people generally they have less memory, and they generally the faithlessness also increases, and duration of life also will be decreased, and they will be very impatient. So therefore, he meditated what will be the welfare for these people, for all these people who are situated in Kali Yuga. And and for their welfare, what he did was, initially there is one Veda. So Veda is like, previously it is not actually divided into 4 different types. It is like one type, and people used to hear and they used to remember, and they used to give it to the subsequent generation. So like that Vedas used to transfer. But seeing that Kali Yuga people, they may not understand everything, he divided one Veda into 4 different parts. So Ruk, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva. This is like, for example, in a bucket, there are different types of stones are there. So one is like 4 different colors if they are there. One is coming and separating them into 4 different buckets like that. So one Veda is divided into 4 Vedas, Ruk, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva Veda. And he assigned 4 different personalities for the propagation of those Vedas. Paila Muni, Jaimana Muni, Vaishampayana Muni, Angira Muni. And after compiling these 4 Vedas, also he has compiled the historical facts and authentic stories into what are called as Itihasa and Puranas. So this is also called as 5th Veda, Panchamo Veda Uchate. So these Puranas and Itihasas, they are also equally important as the Vedas, because it is clearly mentioned that this is like Panchama Veda. And for them, the Romarshan Sutta, who is the father of this Sutta Goswami who is speaking, he is given authority. So one important aspect in this thing is that the Vedas and Puranas and Itihasas, they are all like pramanas. So generally, for our knowledge, how we acquire knowledge in general, there are like 3 pramanas that are mentioned: the Pratyaksha Praman, Anuman Praman, and Shabda Praman. So Pratyaksha Praman means what we see through our senses, or what we gain knowledge through our senses, right? For example, we see through our eyes, we hear through ears, we smell through nose. So all these senses will give some particular kind of knowledge. So that is called as Pratyaksha Praman. And apart from this Pratyaksha Praman, there is something called as Anuman Praman, where by seeing this, by gaining this knowledge through senses, apart from that, we also speculate. We also speculate means we also contemplate through our mind and intelligence, and logically we come to some conclusions. So that is called as Anuman Praman. For example, it is like a guesswork. It may be like that we may guess. So that is also one of the ways we realize knowledge. So Pratyaksha and Anumana. So, but sometimes that Pratyaksha and Anumana can give wrong knowledge to us. So, for example, all things that we see through our eyes may not be correct. So, optical illusion, sometimes we may experience. So, suppose some person is in desert, if he is seeing, it may seem that the desert far away there is water, but actually it is not the water. It is the sand only, but due to long distance, it appears like water. So sometimes for our ears also, it may not be completely hear all the frequencies. We know our ears are capable of hearing only from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. So below 20 Hz we cannot hear, above 20,000 Hz we cannot hear. Sometimes other animals like dogs, they may hear these frequencies and they may shout sometimes, but we may not be able to hear those things. So there are some limitations for our senses, direct senses. And also there is some limitation for guesswork also. So guesswork also may not give complete understanding of the things. But for understanding the things related to guesswork may give some understanding for the things which are for day-to-day activities. But for the things which are beyond our imagination, things which are very, very subtle, sukshma, and very, very gross, like gigantic things, these things may not give proper knowledge, but we depend on this pramana called as Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman is the pramana where we depend upon Shastras, which are called as these Veda and Puranas and Itihasas, to gain knowledge. So they are these Vedas and Puranas and all these things, they are said to be coming directly from the Supreme Lord only. from his breathing, it is said that Vedas have come. So these are Shastras, they are mentioned as, for example, it is there like the manuals. Manuals means, for example, there is a complicated machine. So we don't know how to operate them. So then we refer the manual, which is given by the manufacturer of that complicated machine. So that manual will contain how to operate that machine. Similarly, the Vedas and these Puranas, all these things, they are said to be coming from the Supreme Lord Himself. So therefore, in order to operate this machine of our human existence, we need to refer to these Vedas and Puranas. So that is the importance of understanding these Vedas and Puranas, where basically they are the guiding principles for our existence. So how to live and how to execute our livelihood. All these things are given in these Vedas and Puranas. And particularly for us, this Kali Yuga, the Puranas and Itihasas are more relevant than the Vedas, because Vedas are generally to understand or to recite them. Vedas generally 99% contain how to execute the particular yajnas. So how to conduct yajnas and how to execute those yajnas. It requires qualified brahmanas, and all those requirements are there. So for us, generally the Puranas and Itihasas are more relevant than these Vedas, because we can relate to these things. So, and they are, as mentioned, they are mentioned as Panchamo Veda. So they are equally authentic. They are also as Pramana as Vedas. These Puranas and Itihasas are also, Itihasas means Ramayana and Mahabharata. So they are also as equally Pramana as the Vedas. So that's how we give importance to Vedic literature, means all the 4 Vedas and also Puranas and Mahabharata and Ramayana. So that's how we are basically indebted to Srila Vyasadeva also for giving all these things for our knowledge. And then, so after writing Puranas and Itihasa, he also, this Itihasas, after writing that, he has given them to Ramaharshan. And seeing that in general, it is very difficult even for the people, it is also mentioned that for the people, for less intelligent people, it is very difficult to go through all these Vedas, and for Kali Yuga especially. So for them, he especially wrote Mahabharata, so that people can relate it very easily, because Mahabharata basically contains the historical narration of, and it contains so many day-to-day activities like dharma, artha, kama, mokshas, how like it contains all the things related to this world, how to conduct, that Mahabharata contains, and people can easily relate that. So he has written even Mahabharata also, which will give the knowledge of the workings in this world, how to conduct dharma, artha, kama, all those things. So in this way, he has compiled all these the literature. So, but he felt, so although like if you see the literature that is compiled by Vyasadeva, these 4 Vedas he has divided, 18 Puranas he has written, Mahabharata he has written, and he also, for the knowledge section of these Vedas called as, he has separated them, knowledge section of these Vedas called as Upanishads. Oh, so there are so many Upanishads, more than 100 Upanishads, 08 Upanishads. So, and there are what is called as Brahma Sutras, which explains these Upanishads, which reconciles them. So in that way, he has done tremendous work. So much literature he has written for the welfare of the people, but still he is experiencing some kind of dissatisfaction. So he is an author. So he has written so much literature for the welfare, and he has also worked for the welfare of the people. He has written all these things for the welfare of the people. But still his mind is not yet satisfied. So he is still dissatisfied at heart, and he is thinking, he is beginning reflecting why I am feeling this dissatisfaction in my heart. So he is thinking like dissatisfaction is come. Some people introspect what is the cause of my dissatisfaction. So he is in that way. He is thinking that I have undergone so many strict vows, and I worship the Vedas, spiritual master, and I regularly perform sacrifices, and I have abided by all the rulings which I have abided by the rulings, and also I have given so much knowledge for the people in general to get in general people to understand in the form of Shri Mahabharata, so that all the people can see what is the path of dharma. I have given Mahabharata also, but still I am feeling incomplete. So may so therefore, so although I know the complete Vedas, I know the knowledge of Vedas, but still I am feeling incomplete. So in that contemplation, he came to some conclusion that maybe possible reason why I am feeling dissatisfaction is because maybe I have not pointed out the path of bhakti, which is very much dear to perfected beings and the Supreme Lord also. Achyuta Priya and Paramahamsana. So perfected beings, Paramahamsas also, it is very dear, the path of bhakti, and is also very much dear to Achyuta. Achyuta is the Supreme Lord. So maybe this path of bhakti I may not have fully described. So maybe because of that I am feeling dissatisfaction. Like that, he come to some little when someone contemplates, that reason may come, certainly that reason may come to him. So this, in that way, he came to some particular kind of possible reason it came. So that time, Narada Muni, he has come to his ashram. So Narada Muni is the guru of Srila Vyasadeva. So, and as soon as Narada Muni has come, Vyasadeva immediately, he respectfully woke up and he worshipped him. So as when Guru comes or some particular senior comes, they give respect. So in that way, Vyasadeva immediately respected Narada Muni. So at that time, when he has come, he after he made the Narada Muni sit in a Vyasasana and comfortably seated. And that particular point of time, Narada Muni started inquiring Vyasadeva, that he is asking that Narada Muni is asking the welfare of Vyasadeva initially. So he asked that, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or mind? Means basically saying that are you satisfied in your like are you identifying with the body, or you are coming out of the bodily conception of life? And he's asking that you wrote Mahabharata, and also you have composed Brahma Sutras, which explains the impersonal aspect of the Lord. But still, it seems that you are still not satisfied. So, why you are so despondent? Why you are not satisfied? So, is a guru, Narada Muni, in general, in movies and other places, he may be shown as some person of like who, like in general, Telugu movies also, comedy person like that. It may be shown, but Narada Muni, in particular, Srimad Bhagavatam and Vedas, he is a guru for many persons. Like he is a guru for the even the author of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva. He is guru for even the author of Ramayana, Valmiki Muni. And he is guru for many great personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam, like Prahlad, Dhruva, Rajimbarhi, like that. And he is there throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, explaining the glories of the Lord. So in that way, Narada Muni is very, very respectful personality. One should see Narada Muni as a guru of all of us. One should not see him as a comic person who creates some arguments like that. So he's a supreme guru. One should see. One should have most respect for Narada Muni. So he could recognize immediately just by seeing Vyasadeva that he is having some dissatisfaction in his mind. So he recognized and immediately put forward why you are dissatisfied, like that he asked. So immediately Vyasadeva, he agreed that yes, oh my Lord, you have what you said about me is correct, that I am feeling not satisfied. So therefore, I am asking you that what is the root cause of my dissatisfaction? So, and you are actually very great person. You know everything. You are actually born from Lord Brahma only, and your knowledge, as you have so much knowledge, unlimited knowledge, and so therefore, and also you can understand the minds of everyone, and whatever is mysterious in this world is known to you, and you also know the Supreme Lord. So you can travel everywhere in these three worlds, and also you can understand everyone's heart. So therefore, please whatever, if I have any deficiency in me, please rectify my deficiency. So despite being my undergoing all the regulations and goals, still I am feeling dissatisfaction. So like that, Vyasadeva admitted and asked Narada Muni to suggest what could be the reason for his dissatisfaction and how to rectify. So this is very important for us, because such a great person as Vyasadeva is feeling dissatisfaction, and he is asking suggestions from Narada Muni. Is good. So similarly, like people may have a lot of dissatisfaction or anything, but the proper guru can, if he approach, he can guide them. So that is also one of the lessons we can learn. And also, the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam will come from this discussion. So because Narada Muni immediately diagnosed the mistake of Vyasadeva. Immediately he points out that you have written so much literature, so many Mahabharata you have written, Vedas you have written, but the one thing that you have not done is that you have not glorified the Lord as much as you could. So that is the sense. Insufficient broadcasting of Lord's glories. You have written Mahabharata, but it is not that uh, basically that explain the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, which are like four principles, but it did not fully describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. That means he has given emphasis to dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So Bhagavatam is a literature which goes beyond these four purusharthas. So I think in previous classes we are discussing this. These are called as purusharthas. Purusharthas means for the person who like desirable things. So as we discussed, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, they are mentioned as the four purusharthas, which everyone in this world they are looking for. Dharma, how to live morally. Artha is how to earn money. Kama is how to enjoy in this world. And moksha, finally, how to continually relieve from sufferings and continuous relief from the suffering and continuous enjoyment. So that is called more moksha. But if you read Mahabharata, basically the overall flow of Mahabharata is these four Purusharthas are again and again mentioned. How to attain dharma, how to attain artha, kama, and moksha. These are all completely emphasized. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is going one step beyond. It is describing what is called as Panchama Purushartha. Panchama Purushartha means fifth goal of the human, which is what is called as attaining love for the Supreme Lord or attaining bhakti towards the Supreme Lord. So that will actually satisfy the soul. So because it is mentioned that soul by nature is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and when he is in connection with the Supreme Lord, so that time the soul actually experiences satisfaction. That's what we have seen in the second chapter also. Savai pumsam parodharmo yato bhaktir adokshade ahitiki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The Atma will get complete satisfaction when it gains the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Bhakti, when he performs bhakti to the Supreme Lord. So that's where soul gets complete satisfaction. But that knowledge is not given or not completely emphasized in Mahabharata and other literature. So Supreme Lord's glories were not completely glorified. So and even what to speak of other literature. So at least Vedas and Mahabharata, they contain some glories, but other literature, they are completely without any glories of the Lord. So that particular literature which doesn't have any glories, those are like condemned. Yes. He says that materialistic literature which doesn't have any discussion about the Supreme Lord, that literature is not studied by Hamsas or people who are like who know the essence of everything. So Nayat Vachas Chitra Padam Hare Yasho. In the literature where there are no glories of the Supreme Lord Hari, which actually Jagat Pavitram, which purify the whole world. So those literature are not accepted by people like they are like it mentioned that place of pilgrimage for crows like that. And but Hamsas, Paramahamsas, they don't derive any pleasure there. But on the other hand, that literature which glorifies the Supreme Lord, so there the sadhus will take pleasure. Tadbhag visargo janataga viplavam yasmin pratishlokam abhaddhavadyapi namani anantasya shankitaniya shrinvanti gayanti grunanti sadhavaham. So that literature which is like Janata Aga Viplavo. Aga Viplavo means Viplavo. Viplava is like generally we heard. Viplava is like a revolution kind of thing. So this literature, transcendental literature, is Aga Viplava, means it is the revolution to destroy all the sins of the people. Aga means sins. So Aga Viplava means all the sins of the people will be destroyed by this kind of literature, where the Supreme Lord is glorified. Supreme Lord's names, Supreme Lord's form, Supreme Lord is again and again glorified. So that literature can actually destroy all the sinful tendencies of the living entities. And those literature is sadhava, the saintly people, they hear that literature, they glorify that literature, they accept that literature. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam actually. So Srimad Bhagavatam should be heard, should be glorified, should be accepted by saintly people, because that will actually remove all the sufferings in this world, and that will actually completely satisfy the Supreme Lord. So that's why Bhagavatam glorifies the path of bhakti more than other paths, karma and jnana. So even if karma and jnana, they are there, but if it is without devoid of bhakti towards Achyuta, to the Supreme Lord, so they they will not ultimately give uh, they will not ultimately give auspiciousness. They will not give supreme results. So if one wants supreme results, then they should mix bhakti. Like, for example, have the element of bhakti, that process will not give its results without bhakti. Because there is bhakti element, any process will give its results. Therefore, whatever activities we do in this world, whatever activities, karma, and whatever knowledge we acquire, it is always better to include, dovetail that process with bhakti, then it will give results. So therefore, he says that karma and jnana without devotion will not have any much use. But if anything we have, anything karma or jnana, anything, if it is mixed with bhakti, then that will become auspicious. So therefore, you should glorify the glories of the Supreme Lord. You are supremely glorified. So Narada Muni is telling to Vyasadeva that you are completely perfect, and your good fame is spotless. Means you have fame, you are completely perfect, and you are situated in your truthfulness and woes. So therefore, you can think of the Supreme Lord's pastimes in your meditation, and you can give those pastimes to people in general who are undergoing this troublesome existence. So, but if you describe anything in without any relation to the Supreme Lord, that will simply create agitation in the minds of the people. So anything, any description, if it is not glorifying the Supreme Lord, not in connection with the Lord, that description simply it will create agitation in the mind. So therefore, it is better to directly glorify the Lord. And in fact, he's saying that people in general, they have the tendency to enjoy their senses, and by making it authorized as dharma, uh, you have, like, if someone has the tendency to enjoy uh, some particular uh, sinful tendency or something, but if it is authorized as a bona fide, then people generally take to that process, so that they'll think that it is Vyasadeva himself has given, he has, therefore it is dharma. So that enjoyment tendency you have created, but that will not ultimately satisfy the soul. So therefore, uh, they hardly care for prohibitions. So there are prohibitions are there, some things to do are there, some prohibitions are there in literature, in Bhagavata and other. But people in general, they take the things which will satisfy their senses, and they don't generally care for prohibitions. In that way, by doing that, they may not ultimately get their satisfaction. So therefore, in order for them to attain their satisfaction, you please completely glorify the activities of the Supreme Lord. So, so therefore, they basically is encouraging that people should take to the path of bhakti, and in that path of bhakti, there is, if one takes to the path of bhakti, then he attains ultimate result. So therefore, uh, he he glorifies the path of bhakti, where he says that if one, so for example, if someone takes the path of bhakti, but he could not continue, but and leaves in between, but still there is no loss for that person, because whatever advancement he makes in the path of bhakti, So that advancement will continue. Even in next life also it will continue. In Bhagavad Gita, there is some discussion that will come. Arjuna asks Krishna that, oh Krishna, you are saying that you take to the path of spiritual life, but if I take to the path of spiritual life, and if I could not complete it, could not completely complete the program of spiritual life, and I may lose even material thing, and I may lose even spiritual thing. So what will happen to me? Like that he may, what will happen to that person who has taken to spiritual life but could not complete it, and he has lost his material thing also in spiritual life. So what is his destination? Like that he asks. Then Krishna says that uh, for one who is doing auspicious things, for him there is never a loss, he says. And he says that actually that person who has taken to spiritual life and later could not continue, in his next life, either he is born in very aristocratic family, or he is born in uh, born in the people where spiritual culture is there. So that means when he is born in aristocratic family, he did not struggle his life for struggle for existence, and his previous advancement in spiritual life, it will continue from next life. So in that way, struggle for existence is also not there, and the more advanced birth is like one who is born in the spiritualist, where naturally he can practice his spiritual life. In that way, he is given advantage. So in that way, he will progress over multiple lives and ultimately achieve his destination. So therefore, there is no loss even if one takes to spiritual life and later on drops. So there is always auspiciousness in taking the path of bhakti. So even in fall down, there is no loss. He will, from where he stopped, his bhakti, for example, he has progressed 20-30%. But the same from where in the next life, from that 20-30%, it will start. So it will not start from zero. So this credit is always there in the path of bhakti, and so there is no loss even if one doesn't continue is the path of bhakti. And also, so therefore, but on the other hand, people may perform all other things, karma and other things. So generally, as mentioned, if there are like 14 planetary systems in this world, 14 planetary systems, if we do pious work, good work, one may go to heaven, and impious work, any sinful activities, one may go to hell. And this cycle will continue. After enjoying for some time in Swarga, one will again come down to this planet Earth. After suffering, like if someone performs sinful activities, after suffering for some time in hell, they will again come back to this earth, and they may also continue to suffer in this life also. And people who perform good activities, they enjoy in Swarga also, and after enjoying Swarga, they will come to this earth and they may continue to enjoy facilities in this earth also. But this is the cycle, it will continue, this process of samsara will continue, going up and down. But people who are Kovidas, who are learned person, they understand this cycle that they are undergoing sometimes upper and sometimes lower planetary systems. They are undergoing this this cycle. They want to. They will try to go beyond these 14 planetary systems. They 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 try to go beyond this, where there is no influence of time, where they can continuously enjoy, continuously get their satisfaction. So they seek a place which will be beyond these 14 planetary systems. Otherwise, in this world, the happiness and distress, they will continue to come based on our previous activities. So the only endeavor that is that a Kovida, a learned person will do is, which will make him take beyond these 14 planetary systems. That is basically establishing his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. So that will actually take him out of these 14 planetary systems. So, and on the other hand, happiness and miseries, they will come based on his past activities with the progress of time. So he will concentrate on his reviving his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. And the person who once tasted the Supreme Lord's bhakti, he experiences some taste when he starts practicing bhakti. He internally, in his soul, he could experience that happiness. So bhakti gives happiness within our heart that one will start experiencing if he starts practicing bhakti. So the person who has that taste in bhakti, who once has taken shelter of the Supreme Lord, although if after some time, if due to some circumstances, he may forget that Supreme Lord Krishna, but that taste that he experienced while practicing bhakti, the taste is there inside his mind, inside his brain, inside his heart. He remembers that taste and he again comes back to start practicing bhakti because the bhakti gives that satisfaction, that pleasure in the heart. Once one person tastes that, he wants to again and again taste that. So he may, although after some time, although sometimes due to some circumstances he may forget, but that taste, the experience of that taste is there in his heart. So therefore, again he will come back and want to taste that bhakti. So therefore, the supreme path of bhakti is there. So you glorify that path of bhakti. So the Lord's Supreme Lord is the cause of this cosmic manifestation. Every one of us have come because of the Supreme Lord, and He is only currently also maintaining us, and He only annihilates it. So you know all these glories of the Supreme Lord. So you please therefore narrate the glories of the Supreme Lord, and you have perfect vision, and you yourself are the incarnation. You are the portion of the Supreme Lord. Vyasadeva is the portion of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, pastimes of the Supreme Lord more vividly. And basically, he says that for all the people who are studying Vedas, are doing sacrifices, are chanting hymns and doing charity. So all those activities ultimately culminates in glorifying the Supreme Lord. So therefore, that glories you have to narrate. So like that, he gives his conclusion. Then he starts narrating his past life. So basically, we will continue this section and conclude in the next time. Narada narrates his past life, and he again further glorifies the path of bhakti. So today we have seen these 2 chapters, 1.5 chapter, where we have seen that the importance of the shastras that Vyasadeva has composed, how to understand the Lord, and Vyasadeva, initially they have asked a question about why did Vyasadeva has written this Bhagavatam, and they asked the question about Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So we have seen Vyasadeva, although he has written so much literature, still he is feeling dissatisfaction. That time Narada Muni has come and advised that you are feeling dissatisfaction because you have not sufficiently glorified Sri Supreme Lord. So therefore you write literature which glorifies the Lord, and also which the process of bhakti is the ultimate, is always brings auspiciousness towards everyone. So therefore, even if someone comes from that process of bhakti will continue. And therefore, you write in such a way that people could take to this process and they could hear the glories of the Supreme Lord. And so we'll stop here. If there are any comments or questions, and we will take other fill in here. So
Sure, Prabhu. No, Prabhu, basically, yeah, you can tell them basically, like example, like as you said that people go depending on their pious activities. Pious activities. Spiritual activities. They go to the various planets, and from there again come to the Bhuloka or various other planets where they can continue their bhakti. So wherever they left. So basically, like example, see this. We speak about all this people who do very good job and the highest level they reach in Bhuloka. Like Elon Musk or big richest people. So we call them they could be what do you call some demigods. Some form they are coming here. So when you tell them that, they understand that how the demigods also take birth in Bhuloka, in this world, who so we give a practical example like that. They clearly understand that, oh, basically they don't have knowledge of the demigods. What is they are also people like us, but they have a highest opulence, and God placed them in those positions. Krishna placed them in those positions, but they also take birth again back in this Bhuloka, and they have highest opulence. Those people are very richest in this Bhuloka and all that. So then they clearly understand the difference between how things happen. With a practical example, maybe that sometimes they don't understand that. I hope they must be understanding everything what you're saying. But if you explain some practical examples, how people take birth and all that.
yeah.
Like you said that they take birth in the aristocratic family, or they take birth in the spiritual family, where they continue again their spiritual activity from there, wherever they left in the last birth, previous birth. They're born as a human being. So in the similar fashion, you take practical examples so that they clearly understand.
Thank you.
Basically, they're enjoying all right now. What they are learning, what they don't know. As you know that lot of gurus, they who's that basically they don't tell a lot of facts. So they tell only what they're supposed to. They like to listen, but they don't tell the actual facts. So we tell the actual facts, what is written in the Bhagavatam.
It's most important because Srimad Bhagavatam, we see correct today's section that it is even going beyond the Mahabharata.
Exactly. Yeah. And also a lot of individuals, they don't know Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
They heard of Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna instructed, but they don't know the pastimes of Krishna, what you are telling about in Bhagavatam and all that.
Correct. Yeah. That is our duty to.
Yeah, explain that. Yes, correct. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you for your patient and consistent hearing, giving me opportunity.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Vandana Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you everyone.
Jai.
Hari
Hare Bol. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.